How's it going, y'all? On today's video, we are doing a virtual tour of yet another one of the absolute best suburbs of the Twin Cities, Robbinsdale, Minnesota. And I assure you, there will not be a better video on this topic anywhere on the internet. So stick around.
From NPR station.
How's it going, y'all? My name is Jesse Lynch, and this YouTube channel is devoted to two things, one of which is teaching people about real estate, buying, selling, investing in real estate, and the other of which is showing off the amazing place that I live, the Twin Cities of Minnesota. So if either of those two things appeal to you at all, do us both a favor and subscribe to the channel, click the little bell to get notified, and while you're at it, give this video a thumbs up and say what's up in the comments. I appreciate it very much. I've been so stoked for all the comments and the love that I've gotten lately. I really enjoy doing these videos, but what I love even more is that doing these videos has let me be able to help all sorts of people from all over the country, in fact, all over the globe. And I literally hear from people every day, and it is the coolest thing. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for giving a thumbs up. If you've reached out to me on social media, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it. And if you're just lurking in the background, that's cool too. I hope you're enjoying these videos. I'm enjoying doing them a lot, but I hope when the time comes that you reach out to me with any questions that you have. On today's video, we are doing a virtual tour of Robbinsdale, Minnesota. Robbinsdale is without a doubt one of the coolest suburbs in the Twin Cities. It is a first-ring suburb just west of the northern part of Minneapolis. I've never personally lived in Robbinsdale, but I have some friends that do, and I got some inside scoop on Robbinsdale for you. Right now, I am standing on the pitcher's mound at Chuck Violet Field at Lake Terrace Park in Robbinsdale, and I'm excited to show you around Robbinsdale. All right, let's do this, huh?
Check.
All right, y'all, so for the record, it's late October and we had snow particularly early this year. I think it was literally around October 18th, and it snowed enough that it has stuck around, and we have particularly cold weather right now. It's kind of crazy, but right now it's like 30 degrees and it's chilly. But right now I'm walking through a neighborhood that I think is like a pretty good example of what you would see in the Robbinsdale area. Basically a lot of like ramblers and ranch style houses. There's probably more of those here than any other type of house. And then there's also like the likes of that, which is sort of split entry kind of house. Geographically, Robbinsdale is basically a northwest suburb of Minneapolis. It is contiguous to North Minneapolis. So the eastern boundary is Victory Memorial Drive. The southern boundary is North 26th Avenue, and then it bumps up to North 36th Avenue. The western boundary is Veracruz Avenue North, and the northern boundary is 47th Avenue North. But I think I can safely say that most of the houses in Robbinsdale were built between 1930 and 1960. Probably more so in the 40s and 50s, very much, which is a lot like St. Louis Park, if you happen to watch that video. There's a few different websites that I like to use when researching certain neighborhoods, and then also like websites that I like to give to people and say, here's a very good resource, right? A couple of which are niche.com, greatschools.org, Neighborhood Scout, and then I suppose Wikipedia, but probably most valuable of which is my YouTube channel. No, I'm just kidding. A lot of the time when I am referring to niche.org, I'm talking about school scores, but one cool thing that they also do is they just grade the entire neighborhood, right? They'll grade an entire city. And Robbinsdale has an A- rating on niche.org, not just for schools, but for the neighborhood as a whole. Robbinsdale is a blend of white collar folks and blue collar folks. It's a fairly well educated suburb, and the average income per capita is right around $34,000, which maybe at first doesn't sound very good, but if you take into account children, then like a family of 4 would have like an average income of upwards of $120,000. Pretty good. And one last kind of interesting note is that Andrew B. Robbins was a real estate developer. He came here way back in the day, bought up 90 acres, and incorporated Robbinsdale Park. Let's take a drive, shall we? Y'all, right now I'm basically at Broadway and 42nd, and I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of Robbinsdale. Number one, the pro I'm going to say is this area, is that it has like a cool, quaint downtown area. It's known as Eat Street, and no, it's not the same Eat Street as the Eat Street in South Minneapolis off Nickel. And so this area right here, it gives Robbinsdale sort of like a small town feel while literally being right next to Minneapolis, which by the way is probably one of the biggest strengths of Robbinsdale, is that it's super convenient, very easy to get downtown, very easy to get to uptown, and also it's super easy to get to northeast. And those are probably 3 of the most like trendy areas that one might want to drive to for, say, restaurants, breweries, that kind of thing. So if what you're really looking for is kind of a quiet suburban area, but that is super convenient to stuff like shops, restaurants, bars, then Robbinsdale is definitely going to be one of the best. And finally, I wouldn't say it's the absolute best example of this, but it is a very bikeable, walkable neighborhood. Theodore Wirth Park is one of the best parks in the entire Twin Cities metro area, specifically for biking and mountain biking. And while it's not technically in Robbinsdale, it is right on the edge, so it's very easy to access it. You could basically take Victory Memorial Drive right down there and be there in no time. So then what are some cons? I'm gonna say the number one con of Robbinsdale is the schools. The schools aren't the best. They certainly wouldn't make like a top 10, maybe even top 20 list in the metro area. Basically on niche.com, they get a C+ for the whole school district, which is not that good. And the individual schools also don't have particularly good ratings on the likes of greatschools.org. All right, another thing that I'm gonna call out is that throughout the city of Robbinsdale, you're gonna find some moments that have a little bit lower level of pride of ownership than other parts of the city. And kind of an interesting phenomenon that I've noticed is that the housing stock in Robbinsdale is very similar. Like they tend to be a lot of the same houses. And I think that's largely because they were built during the same time frame, but generally they are a lot of the same types of houses. And mostly it's gonna be ramblers or ranches and then split levels, built basically between 1930 and maybe 1960. And I'll be honest, that's not scientific, that's just a guess, but I'm pretty good at guessing the ages of homes at this point. And honestly, that's all I could think of for cons. So overall, not a bad spot, especially if excellent schools are not the most important thing to you, then you can find a really good value on a home here in Robbinsdale. All right, let's go for a ride. So all in all, Robbinsdale is an excellent neighborhood. It covers a pretty small area. Actually, Robbinsdale High School isn't even in Robbinsdale, it's in Crystal. The housing stock is a bit dated and also somewhat uniform. Tends to be a lot of the same styles. But that being said, because a lot of the houses were built from the 1930s to the 1960s, a lot of them are full of character. You're gonna find hardwood floors and cool woodwork and maybe some archways and coved ceilings and that kind of thing. And I believe I said this in the St. Louis Park virtual tour, but I have a theory that homes built from the 40s to the 60s are some of the most well-built homes you can still buy. Again, it's not scientific. You're welcome to prove me wrong, but that's a theory. They still seem to hold up so well, and I would say more so than houses that were built from the 60s to the 80s. Not to be all grandpa on you, but they don't make them like they used to, right? But I want to know what you think about Robbinsdale. Is somewhere you'd like to live? Do you prefer one of the other neighborhoods that I've done better? Are there other places that you'd like to see me do videos on? Whatever it is, let me know and I'm happy to do it. And that being said, if you are thinking about moving here to the Twin Cities, you gotta do us both a favor and reach out to me any way you can. Call, text, email, leave me a message on my website, DM me on Instagram, DM me on Facebook, but please send me a friend request first. Otherwise those messages can get lost in the ether, and that's the last thing that I want to do. I promise if you get a hold of me, I'll take the best care of you. I feel like I have a lot to prove. I look like a hippie, and I assure you, you will have a very hard time finding anybody who enjoys real estate as much as me and who will be as good of an advocate throughout the process as me. That being said, thank you for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment, say what's up. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to meeting you. Love you. Bye-bye.